Max why or why not. Is his decision selfish or a selfless one? What other options did he have?
I don't think there was a right or a wrong. It's just that he made his own choice, and I thought it was really good, just because in chapter 23, right? It was on page 193. I can't do this anymore, Claire, and I can't do it to Max. Really shows what he's thinking. He's trying to put Max's needs above himself, saying like specifically what he wants Max to be. He wants him to be happy. He wants to be a part of a loving family, and he knows he can provide that. So I really think he's not being selfless. He's trying to be making the right choice in his own mind.
And I think logically, like, I can understand like why he did it and his reasons behind it, but like emotionally, I still don't like it. Like, I'm still like, I want the family to be together because it's still like a cute little adorable family and they get to play house, but like that's not how it was. So like in my brain, I can like see the reasons behind it. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I like really didn't like the last chapter. It kind of like confused me a lot actually, and I thought that Max was like still with him and just coming back to like the house. I don't know, it confused me. But as much as I, just like you're saying, I would love for them to be like a family, I don't think he would be able to get the job and have this family that he wanted in his future. And I think that either way, he had to do it, and it was selfless too because he loved him. It wasn't like he was just giving him away. Like, it was hard for him, but you could tell it had to be done, I guess.
Yeah.
And I feel like he, I'm sorry, where was I going? I feel like he did have a possibly better life because on page 204 when Sam was describing what Max looks like, he said he had like the build of a possible football player. That kind of shows that he, like, because he wanted to go out for, he didn't want to go out for sports, but like someone, I forgot who mentioned it, but someone mentioned that he would let him do that. So in a way, Max is happy with where he is. I feel like he was happy with the life that he has, and he might understand. But so far, he seems like he is in a good place. That he was in a good place when Sam gave him up, even though it wasn't really what he wanted to do for sure. But it was, but could have done something else about it.
I agree. I think that I didn't really like the last chapter. I just thought it left out a ton of information. It was just kind of confusing, and I wish they would have like told us like everything that happened. But overall, I agree. I think Max is probably in a better place just because like he did come back looking for Sam. So I feel like if he was like really upset and he wasn't in a good place, I don't really think he would be looking for him. I think he was, I don't know. I just think that if he wasn't in a good place, he would probably be mad at Sam, so he wouldn't necessarily come back looking for him. And then also, I think it was very selfless for Sam to give Max up. I think he wanted what was best for him. Just like on page 195, he said, "Don't you think it's better for a kid to have a real father?" I think it was definitely really hard for him to give him up, but he knew that that was what would be best for him, so that's what he decided to do.
Okay, I agree with Robin. I kind of like the last chapter. I just think it left out a lot. I just wish they had like kept going with maybe like a conversation of what Sam and Max would say. I do think it was a selfless decision to give up Max because, at least what the book leads to believe, he did find a family. And on page 204, he drives up in a used Volvo, and Sam thinks to himself, safe car. That like leads to believe that safe family, good family, and
yeah, I also agree that I thought it was a really selfless decision. When I first read page 192, when he said, "I'm going to give up Max for adoption," on the surface, I thought this is kind of selfish. But then when I thought about it, like all the stuff that he's gone through, he realizes that the right decision for Max is to give him up. He can't take care of him with everything that's going on. And the other indication that I thought made it a selfless decision is that on page 198, when he was telling his dad about it, he suddenly burst into tears, and I think that was really that he was sad. He realized he was going to give up Max and that this was the end. And he wasn't, it's not like it was easy for him to give him up. He cried, and I think that really showed that it was a selfless decision.
I think it was like a mixture of both a selfish and a selfless decision because like he came to that conclusion through like selfish reasons because he realized that he couldn't go to college, he won't be able to like do the things his friends are doing, and like the fact that he doesn't have as much support. But like it's also selfless because he loved Max. Either way, it's gonna be hard. So it was like a good thing either way. I think I liked the class chapter, and I felt it was a mixture of both selfish and selfless. And like on page 204, it talked about how Max is 18. He turned 18 last November, and so it's like telling us that like he's clearly thought about him for the past 18 years. He knows his like birthday. It's like he just up and forgot everything he knew about Max from growing up. So like it was all for like the best, and like Sam, I think he feels that same way, and Max deserved like to go to adoption or adoptive family. And
yeah, I agree that the decision was probably like, even though it was kind of hard at first when you are kind of mad about it, but I think it was the right thing to do. But I feel like one of the reasons why it like makes us sad was because Max like knew that Sam was his father and like acknowledged that, and he like looked up to him, and an example of that is on page 182 when he like goes back into the hospital room and sees him after he like got his stitches. It says that he wrapped his arms tight around my neck and pressed his head against my shoulder. So it's kind of like he knows that Max was like or Sam was a safe person for Max to go to, and that's like his father figure. So then like you know that he's gonna know that something's different when he does go into a different family. Like he's not like a super little baby. So I wish that he would have done it sooner, I guess maybe.
I agree that he should have done it sooner, but I also like agree with the fact that he did give him up for adoption. Like I really didn't like that was the ending, but I feel like it was the best thing for Max, and I think it was really selfless of him, because on page 200 he like looked around Max's room and imagines it like without all like the baby things, and he says like he couldn't hold all those thoughts in his head. And then on page like 201 he looks at the stars his mom put on the ceiling for his 8th birthday, and he hopes that Max's mom would think of stuff like that for him. And so I feel like that just shows that like he just really wants Max to have a better life, even though like, and like Miriam said, like kind of seems selfish because like he like you see like how much it benefits him in the long run, but I feel like what drove him to give him up was selfless reasons.
Yeah, so I just want to ask a question, like something about what Lauren said, like about just his very early like time of when Max was like first put into like the adoption agency, and like how do you think that process went down? Like how long do you think Max was in like the system, or like how do you think he was brought to his new family?
I doubt that he was there for like a long time. I feel like it was probably an easy adoption because didn't like Brittany's family already like kind of have like adoption set up before? Maybe it was like the previous families he picked out, or like something they thought about, like maybe it's something else that Brittany's family maybe Brittany's family got involved and got informed of Sam's decision, and they probably worked together and found a family sooner than later. And like I feel like the adoption itself is not gonna affect Max as much as we think, because like you don't really remember your early memories like that, like your first birthday. Most people tend not to remember that. So like whichever family Max ends up going to, he's gonna like presume that's always been mom and dad until like they tell him at like whatever age, like, oh, you're adopted, and then like, oh, I guess I kind of felt that way. So like I really don't think it's gonna harm Max as much as most people think.
I agree, just because he is so young, and it's like, yeah, he like will remember, like in the beginning it'll probably be hard just because like he'll be like, oh, like what's going on, but I mean, he can't even talk, can he?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not like he's gonna like ask for him, and I don't know, I think it'll be a lot easier. I think it'll be a lot easier for him to move on than for Sam.
If I could just bring it back to like how the book ended, I didn't like how it ended. I was thinking like maybe the book could have told more about Claire, her family, or maybe a little bit more about Brittany.
I agree with that. I feel like one of the reasons I didn't really like the last chapter was because we like grow so attached to like the characters that have been in the book throughout the whole time. So then when like Sam's new family is being introduced on page 203 at the very end. It's kind of hard to like be kind of like accepting or like his new wife and family when like you were grown so attached to like Claire and Max, I guess.
Any more thoughts on this question?
For what I thought of for the last chapter, I like how it ended because I liked it because he started laying out on the fishing stuff, which means he planned to go fishing with his own son. So you could really tell that he really cared about what his father taught him. And I was hoping he could experience at least something with his son, like a memory that they could both share. And so I think that'd be like, I like how that ended it at least because he's like, hey, I went fishing with my dad and I like to bond with you over that.
I have another question. On page 198, he said, I could never get married, I could never have another kid. What do you think changed his mind?
The right girl.
I was just think getting older.
Are we cool with moving on to the next question?